Bonjour à toutes et à tous et bienvenue dans ce nouvel épisode d'Enderal Forgotten Stories. J'espère que vous allez bien. Pour ma part, c'est un plaisir de vous avoir une nouvelle fois en ma compagnie pour un nouvel épisode qui s'annonce riche en avancées, je pense. Merci à toutes celles et ceux qui m'accompagnent durant ce voyage. J'espère qu'il vous plaît et que si tel est le cas, que vous n'allez pas hésiter à vous abonner, à liker, voire à partager le contenu. Cela fait extrêmement plaisir et ça permet de contribuer au succès de la chaîne. Merci à toutes celles et ceux qui en feront la démarche. Je vous remercie du fond du cœur. Dans le précédent épisode, nous avons fait beaucoup de gestion, de management. On a utilisé un objet qui traînait dans mon inventeur. Ça faisait un moment. I don't belong here, but I can use all of these things now. Donc non, tu m'as accepté. Avoue-le, c'est tout. Tiens, on va d'abord enchanter. Ah, c'est qui? Il est où? Magister, je ne sais pas quoi là, j'ai une mission pour toi. Les conséquences. Est-ce qu'ils sont à l'intérieur? Non. Lui c'est Vive Flamme. Non, c'est pas toi, c'est pas toi. Rien. Voilà. Ah mais voilà.
Walk blessed. Of course, her sister. I completely forgot. Oh, Hero, you damned old fool. I guess I should be lenient with her. Here, I think I owe you this for your time. Now, excuse me. We have a lot to do here.
150. Ok. Ça a matché le nombre de pièces d'or. Même si je trouve ça particulier quand même. Hein. Je veux dire, le bien-être de ton élève. Que tu... Ainsi. Pas ça. Et alors... Aussi. You have something against me? Voilà. Voilà. Donc maintenant, j'ai plus 7% en termes de... Donc ça compense un peu la perte du 10%. Je crois que si j'avais pris le 10%, j'aurais pas eu 10% régénération rapide. J'avais eu ça, j'aurais pas eu moins 5. Mais surtout l'augmentation de mana de 8. Ça contribue au bonus d'ensemble. Fait que mes sortes d'élémentalisme, pas énorme, mais bon. Moi je le mana de 12. Hein. Mais il faudrait que je trouve très rapidement peut-être autre chose qui augmente mon regain de magie. Et comme vous pouvez le voir, hein, on n'a pas les 10% de régénération en plus liés au maître mentaliste. Dommage. Dommage. À moins qu'il y ait un truc que je comprenne pas, hein. C'est probable. C'est en tout cas possible. Plutôt que probable. Bon, allez. On vous a assez fait languir. Il est temps, mesdames et messieurs, de progresser dans la quête principale. Ah, c'est vrai que j'ai ramassé du... Ouais, ces deux-là. Déjà deux en plus. Dans l'endroit, ouais, et ouais, j'ai ramassé ça aussi. On avait un parchemin qu'on avait trouvé en fait dans la crypte d'Arc. Et ça nous a téléporté dans un endroit où est-ce qu'on s'est fait assaillir par des créatures que je me rappelle qui étaient très dangereuses dans Skyrim. Ambroisie. C'est bon, ça. Voilà.
Now, if it isn't the prodigy, well...
Oh, peut-être dû avoir cette conversation là avant, non?
Yes, I know. She's already told me everything. Good work, even though part of her report seemed to be a bit enthusiastic. But I'll leave the judgment to Aranthiel. He wants to talk to you anyway. Seems you've caught his interest.
Dites-moi encore qui est exactement ce
Didn't
gars.
I tell you that already? He's the highly esteemed, holy, grand master of the Order. Tilor Aranthiel, son of Lorius I, praised be his name. An old legend, risen from the dead, or something like that.
C'est un errant? Bon, où est-ce que je peux le trouver?
In the Emporium, the last building on the left side of the temple. Just tell the guard that Aranthiel has asked for you, and they will let you in. Ah yes, before I forget. My dame Lucy has left a token of gratitude for you. It's your choice. Do you want a book, an old map, or a bag of pennies?
J'ai 2 points d'apprentissage. La carte au trésor.
Very well, now get a move on. I'm sure we'll talk again later.
Voyons voir cette map. Arc, temple. Mhm. Ça se trouve ici, c'est ça? Attends. Dites-moi plus sur l'histoire de votre ordre. Qui êtes-vous exactement? Comment êtes-vous né?
Oh, do you really need me to answer that? Just take a look around. There are all sorts of great historical writings on us here. We're a bunch of bloodthirsty heretics who followed Tilor Aranthiel's deluded son into the war against the gods, who gloriously defeated us in the Battle of Zaramar. Naratzul was locked into an old tower, and those of us who remained cowardly fled into the Nehrimese mountains, and have since then terrorized and plotted against the poor people of the civilized world by all means necessary. Oh, and did I forget to mention that we eat babies for breakfast? Well, now I have.
Et vous avez traversé tout ça?
Through most of it, yes. But I don't want to go into detail.
Qui dans le temple fait partie de votre ordre? J'ai du mal à vous différencier.
Oh, don't tell Lucy that. Altogether it's her, Yuslan, me, and 2 acolytes. Yuslan is probably the most gifted entropist of the civilized world, and I doubt there's anyone who knows more about the Pyreans than Lucy.
De quelle région de Nehrim êtes-vous exactement?
Oh, that's hard to tell. Most of the time I was with Narathzul's order in the Ép.71 mountains. But when I was younger, I used to travel a lot, not only in Nehrim. What about you? Which idiots did you have the misfortune to be raised by? The foolhardy rebels up north? The bootlicking pawns of the Chancellor in the Middle Realm? Or the fanatic, mask-wearing cultist oafs down south?
Zol.
Ostian, I see. A beautiful piece of earth, actually. But these sodding cultists and their creator have done their best to make it a living nightmare. Truth be told, it was them who made me join Narathzul's fight against religion back in the days. I was a young traveling arcanist then, and wanted to make some money in Ostian's arena. Fight some rabid animals, oh, you know the story. I had heard a lot about Nehrim's south, and imagined a place at the pulse of life. Exotic music, adventure, beautiful women. But you know who greeted me when I reached the city gates?
Qui?
Corpses.
Oh.
They burnt their skin off, and then nailed them to crosses. There were at least 50 of them. Men, women, children. And they were set up at the roadside like trees in an alley. It was atrocious. The smell of burnt meat everywhere. The screams of those who still lived, and all of it only because some fool has decided that they had somehow acted against their god. I still dream of it sometimes. Well, that was when I declared war on religion. I was so sick of seeing people cutting each other's throats only because they project their own personal problems into some holy scripture or higher power. And that's not even the worst part. They're beyond reason. Why are you doing this, I ask them. Because my God told me to. What's left to say there? You can essentially justify anything with that logic. This is why this place makes me sick. We need the Order's manpower. They need our knowledge about the Piraeans, and we both do want the same thing, yes. But philosophy and freedom of thought are nowhere to be found. It's pathetic.
Mais le problème est-il la religion elle-même et pas les gens qui l'utilisent pour leurs propres ambitions?
Yes and no. On the one hand, yes, a happy person will most likely never become a murderer, no matter if he or she follows the teachings of this creator or some Quiranian philosopher. But if something happens to this person, hunger, fear, shattered dreams, a peaceful ideology can make all the difference. What is religion after all? It's a guide to live life, a set of values. And even if it's just one line in the Holy Scripture that says, kill the infidels, how likely is it that a broken man will interpret it in a peaceful way? If you want a justification to spill blood, you will find it. If your religion was ambivalent to begin with, even better. There's a lot of discussion about that on Kira. And it drives me mad to hear people prattling on about how it's all a matter of interpreting the scripture in different ways. Blazes, if your ideology is so peaceful, why does it say, slayeth this, slayeth that, rather than just get along? It's pathetic.
En d'autres mots, une religion parfaitement pacifiste ne devrait posséder aucun caractère ambivalent?
Yes, go on. Try to justify a massacre like the one in Ostian, with a philosophy that consists of only two principles and nothing more. Respect those around you, and killing is bad regardless of the motives. Good luck.
Peut faire aussi le bien, elle donne aux gens le sens de la communauté, et sans une sorte de guide moral, les gens ne feraient que ce qu'ils souhaitent, comme la loi en société. Je suis un peu plus d'accord, la religion est dangereuse, j'ai appris à mes dépens. Et bon, ah non, je suis pas d'accord. D'autres sur ça, faire aussi le bien.
Oh, believe me, they do that anyway. Plus, if the only thing keeping a person from killing and robbing another one is the thought that some higher power will punish him for it, then that person wasn't a paragon of virtue to begin with.
Je pense que personne n'est un paragon de vertu, un parangon de vertu. C'est la naissance, né, et puis un peu neutre. Et ton environnement fait que, au bout d'un moment, autre chose. Je suis plus partant de ça. Attends, c'est toujours marqué voler. On va aller voir le A41. Mais ouais, je pense pas que la religion soit une mauvaise chose en soi. C'est un peu comme les armes. Est-ce que c'est l'arme qui est mauvaise, ou est-ce que c'est la personne derrière Et vu que pas mal de personnes en grandissant, justement, deviennent mauvaises, hein, pour la plupart, malheureusement, eh bien on se retrouve avec des shooting de masse, genre j'allais dire de conneries, mais des choses extrêmement malsaines qui peuvent t'arriver. Ah, dommage que tu puisses pas utiliser. Ah, oh. C'est beau. Et donc, attends. Je regarde par là, donc je regarde un peu plus vers ma droite. Donc le dragon se trouve par là. Ah non. Je vais mettre comme ça. Ouais non. Bah, ça c'est pareil. Si la baie se trouve là. Ouais, si la baie se trouve là, la baie royale. Donc ça veut dire que le dragon se trouve dans cette zone-là. Le dragon ou bien le truc à la Skyrim là, où est-ce qu'il y a les descriptions, mots de pouvoir. Ah, quoi ce truc rouge là-haut là? C'est cool. Franchement, j'admire le taf que les modeurs ont réalisé.
An outlander. What are you doing in this part of the city? Shouldn't you be...
Ouais, ça, on peut pas monter en plus. J'ai vu qu'une seule porte et c'est celle-là et ça permet d'aller uniquement où? Ah, dehors. Bon. Dès qu'on avançait dans la quête principale, on va avancer dans la quête principale.
This is holy ground, Outlander. You don't belong here.
Pour demi-rade. Non, il y a un mur. Ouais, le port.
Well met.
On trouve une solution à cette histoire de fièvre arcanique. Voler? Non, pas voler. Non, je suis accepté. J'ai cru qu'il avait un casque. J'ai cru qu'il avait un casque sur la tronche.
Transcribe verse 80 100
And to send an
times.
entire division across the sea because of a suspicion is madness.
We need to find out who sent the mercenaries. This Pegast said that they were after the Signet Stone, and if they succeed in getting hold of it next time, then the Black Guardian alone knows how to stop the cycle.
The cycle. Listening to you talk almost makes me forget
La
that all
trucée,
this
ça.
fuss here is merely based on some bad dreams you and your Nerimese friends had.
The threat is real. Deny it as much as you like, but deep inside, you feel it as much as I do.
Tila, you're a commander, and a commander doesn't care about feelings, but about facts. You have made this mistake before, Tilor, back then in Kira, and we all
Natara.
know
The mission will happen. I'm sorry.
Ok, donc
you have a visitor.
Huh? What do you want?
je sens qu'on va devoir se taper cette fameuse mise. Je pense qu'on avance plutôt bien. Hop. Désolé, hein, j'ai vu un coffre ouvert. Coffre de l'autre côté, mince.
So, you are the prodigy everyone is talking about. Interesting.
Mais en quoi je suis un produit, je
I
comprends pas.
am T.E.L.A., son of Lorius I and Grandmaster of the Order, and I'm honored to meet you. What is your name?
Jag3rKhan. Vous voulez me voir?
Yes, and I will come straight to the point. You are here because I believe that you are special. Humanity faces a threat that needs to be stopped, and to achieve this, you are indispensable.
Hein? Vous voulez parler de la folie pro, n'est-ce pas?
Among other things, yes. I do not need to explain to you that the present situation on Vin is chaotic. The wars, the living dead, common people who are losing their minds, to name only the most obvious. What most people are not aware of is the connection between these events. You, however, have encountered it, as have I.
Oh, t'as eu des visions? Ouais, ces visions, donc vous savez d'où elles viennent?
I do. And I will explain everything to you. What it means, who we are, and what your part in all of this is. Come, follow me. Maybe you already know who I am. My entire life, I served the gods who ruled Vin, until their death 2 years ago. What you probably do not know is that the one responsible for their death is my son,
Who are you?
He hated the Lightborn because he believed that they robbed mankind of their right to freedom, so he strived to overthrow them. He found followers, formed an army and declared war on them, and thus on me, a servant of the Lightborn as well. It all ended in a battle 30 years ago, which Narazul won. He killed every single survivor except for me, and locked me in a dungeon on Nehrim. I still do not know why he spared me.
Les cicatrices. Si Narazul était votre fils, pourquoi haïssait-il autant les dieux? N'aurait-il pas dû leur être, je sais pas moi, dévoué?
There were circumstances favoring the development, but it's a long story which we won't discuss now.
Ok, donc ouais, ça montre encore une fois hein, que c'est pas ou les armes, mais les gens le deviennent, là qui prennent ça. Donc les êtres de lumière sont vraiment morts. Si vous, l'ordre des dieux, êtes au courant de ce fait, pourquoi le peuple ne l'est-il?
Good question. Because at the moment stability is the highest good, even more so considering what we are facing. The rulers of Kira and Kile both made the mistake to acknowledge the death of the gods to their people, and the civil wars that followed in their countries are evidence of the chaos that such a revelation entails. Enderal is the cradle of the order of the gods, the epitome of theocracy. It is unthinkable what would happen if we confirmed these rumors.
Le terme le plus important
I
était
am
théocratie.
sure you understand this. Maybe when all this is over that will change, but for now it is imperative that we deny all rumors of that kind.
Mais vous avez réussi à vous libérer.
Yes, after more than 30 years, when the death of the gods made the magic around the prison disappear. And during my escape in the northern mountains of Nehrim, I also had them for the first time, the dreams. I always saw the same glaring, terrible light, heard screaming, and I felt like I was burning up from the inside. And above all, like a veil, there was the knowledge of imminence. At first, of course, I dismissed these dreams as the delusion of a man close to death. So I concentrated on making it through the mountains somehow. 2 days after my escape, I was completely exhausted, and I would have died if a former acolyte of my son had not found me.
Un acolyte de votre fils? Mais n'étaient-ils pas vos ennemis alors?
Yes, but he did not recognize me, and brought me to their headquarters instead, an old monastery in the mountains. The others were aware of my identity, but for whatever reason they did not kill me. Maybe because they thought that the death of the Lightborn had made me insignificant. I do not know. Still, even after my recovery, the dreams continued. At first, I doubted my sanity, but after some time I told the leader of the mages, Constantine, about them. And he said something that I'd never expected. I was not alone. He, as well as many others magically gifted on Vin, dreamed the same dreams. And the more we talked about the matter, the stronger our suspicion grew, which has now turned out to be the truth. The dreams, they come from the same place. They are a shared memory.
Une mémoire commune? Vous pensez que ces rêves viennent de... quoi? Un esprit commun?
A collective subconscious, yes. I know that you can feel it too, and probably far more intense than we do. But like you back then, we were not able to make sense of the images. So we went looking for answers in the remains of the civilization that was before us, the Pyreans.
D'où les fouilles comme dans l'ancien Rachengrad. Qu'avez-vous découvert?
3 things. First, there were many civilizations before us and before the Pyreans. Maybe hundreds, maybe thousands. Second, the history of each civilization unfolded and still unfolds according to a pattern. They emerge, they blossom, and at some point, at the apex of their existence, they simply disappear.
Il y a des moissonneurs?
Without any trace. And third, everything that has happened in the past years, and which is still happening, indicates that this disappearance lies ahead of us. We are part of an eternal loop, a cycle, and our cycle is approaching its end.
Des centaines de prophètes ont prédit la fin du monde, et ce n'est jamais arrivé.
I see why you would say that, and I felt the same way for a very long time too. But there came a moment when we simply could not deny it anymore.
Qu'est-ce qui a fait ça?
We began to study the history of the Pyreans more intensely, and the parallels were extraordinary. In its early days, the Pyrean Empire was split up by a disaster, just like Vin was split up by the Starfall after the reign of the Eterna. Also, the Pyreans had a ruling caste who declared themselves gods after the catastrophe. The 2 castes of the Sun Priest. They too ruled until they were overthrown. This overthrowing was followed by an outbreak of wars and chaos. And then, just like that, the Pyreans ceased to exist. They knew it was imminent, but they could not prevent it. They called this event the cleansing.
Les Pyréens connaissaient cette menace, pourquoi n'ont-ils rien tenté contre elle?
They tried, but they failed. Who knows why? Maybe they found out too late, or maybe they were too weak.
Comment une civilisation entière peut-elle disparaître?
That is the question we need to find an answer to. The end was not violent, at least not in a sense as we know it. There was no natural disaster, no magical explosion, no plague. Even though there was war in the Pyrean Empire before its ruin, when the cleansing happened, it was as if all living beings simply fell down and died. It is ghastly.
Et en quoi cela me concerne-t-il? D'où ces visions et mes pouvoirs me viennent-ils?
Well, this is the reason why we need your help. Not only episodes of history recur within every cycle,
Réincarnation?
characters do as well.
Des personnages récurrents.
Yes, the Pyreans call them the emissaries. They emerge very shortly before the cleansing occurs, like a law of nature, an answer to the Red Madness. And I am one of them, as are you. While I take on the role of the ruler, you take on the role of the prophet.
Je suis censé être prophète, pourquoi pas le dirigeant?
It's just a description. Call it what you will. But without doubt, it is the truth. Your story matches the descriptions perfectly.
Et je suppose que cela explique la présence des mages nériméens, n'est-ce pas? Des flammes, Pégaste, Skyrim.
Yes. Former enemies or not, both sides have understood the magnitude of the threat. The magical knowledge of Narazul's former mages is vast, as is the power of the Holy Order. Even though not all of the keepers agree, as you probably have already noted yourself.
Tu m'étonnes. Et pourquoi moi parmi tous les autres?
I do not know. Firespark the mage has told me your story, and even though your fate is tragic, unlike me, you were insignificant before your change. So maybe everyone can become an emissary, or we simply have not understood the pattern yet.
J'ai un rôle à jouer, cela veut-il dire que quelque chose me contrôle? Nous contrôle?
No. As I already said, the emissaries simply appear at the beginning of the end, like pieces on a chessboard. We are determined by our skills. How and to what end we use them is our choice.
Et qu'est-ce qui définit ce prophète?
On the one hand, your power. You carry the potential to master any skill within a fraction of the usual time needed. I assume you have already realized this.
Oh, pas mal l'introduction du
On the
système de
other
compétences.
hand, your ability to look into the past, and therefore into the future.
Dans le passé, et donc dans le futur. Que voulez-vous dire?
Your visions are a window into the past. And as every cycle is based on the same events, it is a window into the future as well. You can feel the thread this world is woven with. And because of that, you can see things that have happened, and thus will happen again. This gift makes you indispensable to us, and it is why I want your help.
Et si ça ne m'intéresse pas?
Hollow words. Deep inside, you know your responsibility. Trust me, we are more alike than you believe.
Ok. Pourquoi pensez-vous que nous ne pourrions surmonter ce cycle-là? Que nous pourrions surmonter ce cycle, alors que des centaines d'autres civilisations ont échoué avant nous?
That is the wrong question. The correct question is, what alternative do we have? To wait and die?
Qu'est-ce que cela m'apporte de vous aider?
If it is wealth and power you seek, you will have it. The Order has enough of both.
Ce n'est pas une décision que je peux prendre sur l'inspiration du moment. Donnez-moi plus de temps.
Very well. I await your answer.
Genre c'est juste du roleplay quoi, pour dire que... Juste pour dire que quoi. Je veux dire, bon. Attends, on va le faire en mode. Ah là là. J'ai fui l'esclavage. Je suis un Aeterna, je suis un mage, et je me retrouve mêlé avec une histoire de sauvetage du monde. Oh là 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 là. Pauvre de moi. Pauvre de moi. Tiens. Sur ce, tu vois, on va... Oh le bâtard, on n'a pas de sérénette. What? What? Bon. C'est dommage, ça aurait été roleplay, je trouve. On a quoi, 34 minutes. On va lui donner notre réponse au prochain épisode, les amis. Merci, les amis, d'avoir regardé cette vidéo. Passez une excellente journée ou soirée, quelque chose pour vous retrouver. Portez-vous bien et surtout n'oubliez pas d'être à l'affût du fun. Je vous dis à très bientôt pour la suite de nos aventures. Et à bientôt pour The Destination. Au revoir.